and happy Saturday. So today I'm going to talk about writing a literature review, mainly because I have one due tomorrow and I think I finally have it pretty much perfected. By now I should. I'm also going to add a link below so that you can go to my website and see more detailed, it's more oriented on how I actually went through the process. Okay, so starting off, the first thing you do with any assignment is you look over the prompt. Okay, so I don't think I can really show you too well my prompt, but let me just tell you, it was kind of insane. My teacher had it so detailed, the introduction, purpose and objectives, methods, all that wonderful, horrible stuff, and he said, okay, I want you to discuss this, that, and this, and I was like, okay, cool. And I'm not gonna lie, when I looked over that, I was super overwhelmed, so I said, you know what, we're not doing that. I literally looked at the topics I could choose from. I chose the topic and then I ignored everything else and got straight to researching. As far as the research aspect goes, I went to the website. I go to Western Carolina, so I went there and I went to their online resources and I used Academic Search Complete. And from there, my paper title is on perceptions and roles in human resource development in Japan. And I tried looking up HRD or human resource development in Japan, and I literally got like no results. So I quickly changed HRD to HRM, which is human resource management, and I found all the articles I needed. So just as a side note, if you're not finding anything that you think will be beneficial when you're writing your paper, keep in mind that it might just be keywords you're using. Just try using a different keyword, or try thinking of, just brainstorm different words you can use, literally. That's how I've always got my research done. Okay, so once you have found an article, what I do is I'll pull the article up and then I'll also pull up Word document right beside it. And so in the Word document, I'll type the title of the article and then I'll put the website or like the URL for where I found it so I can easily access it again. And I also include the author last names and the year of the publication. Because when you are doing in-text citations, you will use that religiously and you will need it, I promise. Okay, so what I do is I literally will skim through and I bullet point points that I can use in my paper. So I knew I was looking at human resource development, so that includes HR and all of its aspects. And so this is what we have. You can't really tell, but you can see that's the author names there. I don't know where I repeated the title, and then I have the URL, and then I bullet pointed. I just included the things that I knew I could use within my paper or things I thought I could use within my paper. Also, as a side note, remember that if you put anything like quote for quote specifically from the article, make sure you note what page you found that on, because if you don't, you are going to spend a lot of time going back to your articles and having to go back through, and if it's a PDF file, you can't Control F. You don't want to do that. So whenever you actually take a citation out of a citation, a quote, whatever, from an article, make sure you know what page that was on. Okay, so after I have all the articles together, I've done all my bullet pointing, I go back and do the hard part. I went back to my beautiful little assignment paper and I went through everything that I needed to discuss. He was so specific. So I had an introduction section, as I mentioned before, yada yada. And so what I did is I took regular pieces of paper and I just put at the top of it the section of the title of the section I was working on. For example, of course I can't find it right now because it's below me. So the first thing is the introduction. So I have to define human resource development. And you can see here where I started taking a little bit of notes. And look, there's that circled number, so I know the article to reference. It's so much easier that way, I promise. So make it easier on yourself and just go through and, for example, like I said, I did introduction, purpose, and I just kind of bullet pointed things I knew I had to cover, and I kept going back and I was like, okay, I can't get so wrapped up in my research. I have to remember to answer the questions that I was researching for to begin with. I like continuously am making sure I'm answering all the things and then I'm taking it all into consideration. And once you get done and you have your general bullet points for your sections, you're going to realize there's one section that is very bulky. So for me, it was the finding and results part. So that's where you actually take all the research you just did and you put it together. And so you have to organize that. That within itself gets its own outline. It gets an extensive outline. So you can see at the top here, it says finding and results. And you can see where I started doing notes. So on my notes, you can see circled numbers. Again, making it easier on myself. And I was just kind of going through and after I realized what I wanted to talk about, so I focused on like 3 different points. I was doing globalization, attitudes of employees, and then I also focused on convergence. So I split it up in those 3. And I came to that based off of the research that I did gather. I kept finding common ties and things that I could bring up to talk about within my paper topic. So that's all I did. Like for the first, I was like, okay, we're going to talk about globalization. So I went through, figured out the papers that talked about globalization and what points they had to add. Bam! You incorporate them all together so it doesn't look like you're giving a review of each thing you did. You're actually reviewing it all together, if that makes sense. And then you see my other point, which I don't know why that's point 1. Localization. Alright, I talk about the articles that cover localization. And again, don't forget to keep your little numbered circles because that's definitely going to help you. Helps me at least. If it doesn't help you, then you're just not an organized individual. Okay, I'm definitely kidding. And I mean, really, that's all there is to it. If you just take really good notes, you have your research together, you keep things organized, you can make it so much easier on yourself, I promise. And after all this time, I finally have figured out how to get it done easy. Like when I had the outline done, typing the paper was a piece of cake. I didn't have to put too much of anything in it. I did it at work, on my break. It was like that. Super easy. So if you can just remember to outline, keep everything organized, don't forget to do your in-text citations, you will be okay, I promise. Anyways, it is Saturday and I'm about to probably go take a nap. Have a happy weekend, guys.